Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Mirror podcast. Today I have one of my good friends, Mr. Jason Moore, in the building via Zoom. Jason, what's popping?
I'm good, man. Excited to be here. Let's get it in.
Let's go, man. So you and I haven't physically seen each other in, let's see, how long has it been? Probably 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years, if not more.
That's crazy.
A minute. Yeah.
Yeah, like we were saying, we've known each other. So we've known each other like a little over 3 years or about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were in Regen, and then as we went our separate ways, and we keep in touch via text and stuff. But
yeah,
but you're like
connected.
crazy. Like, tell us who you are. What's going on with you, man? Like, you're a guy with a story with a lot going on.
Yeah.
This is the COVID edition of the podcast. So you gotta tell. At some point, we gotta hear how you're handling all this crazy virus.
Yeah. We can get to that point, man.
But who are you? What's going on with you?
So I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school at Hampton University, historically Black college, got a master's in business administration, became a financial analyst, and now left that world, the corporate world. Now I'm currently a business professor at a historically Black college named Paul Quinn College. I teach business to students. I also work at El Central Community College. And so that's what I'm doing, you know, when you talk about COVID and working from home, I'm teaching from home. And for me, I'm married. We are Lorianne Moore. That's my wife. We've been married 6 years, and we have 3 kids. Jaden, who is 3, about to be 4. Then we have Genesis, who is 2, going on like 30.
Genesis with a J too, right?
Genesis with a J, right?
I love that.
Yeah, she'll let you know. She run the whole house. And then we got a newborn. He's 4 months now. His name is Jackson. So we got Jaden, Genesis, Jackson, myself, and then Lorianne. So that's the family. That's the unit. We 5 deep. Was not part of any kind of grandmaster plan. We was just as surprised as y'all. So
really,
yeah, oh yeah.
With all 3?
Yeah, it was a surprise every single time. Like, it was because I am 32, and Lorianne is 30, and she's like a genius that went to college at 16. But the point is, we started this young, or relatively young, and you know, we've been on track since then. And it was not a plan. It wasn't like, oh, you know, I want to have this nuclear family by this time, to have this. Nah, it really has just been kind of God-led. And some people ask, you know, how many kids do you want? I was like, we'll let you know when they come, because at this point, we have not had the divine.
There he is, right there.
Right. And so that's a little bit about me. I am a Christian, a man of faith. I go to One Community Church that's in Plano, Texas.
Hey, shout out to One Community Church. I know several people that go there.
Yeah. Shout out to Pastor Conway. I've been at that church for 8 years. I'm serving there, and then also a little bit about me is I am an artist. Spoken
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, the spoken word around the Metroplex. I've traveled a couple places doing spoken word, which is poetry, like theatrical poetry, and I've also done some Christian hip hop, rapping about conscious material and inspirational material, educational material, and then Christ. So
and your stuff is dope, man. I was gonna ask you about the spoken word. Like, I know obviously not right now, we're in lockdown, so it'd only be live.
Right.
Like, before that, were you doing any more spoken words? I think I've kept up with your spoken word pretty well.
Yeah.
Have you been doing anything? Have you been writing? Like, where you at with that? Because you
write currently, because of the different paths I feel God has led me. You know, I've always juggled with, do I need to stop my artistry and focus on family, focus on career, or focus on what I feel like God's called me to? But then in the back of my head is always poetry. So I remember, like, one of these years, like 2018, I said, because I used to do like, I need to do 2 gigs a month. And I need to make sure I come out with this project by this time, and I need to be in front of these contests. And so I literally went through the artist gambit, you know, the artist struggle, trying to make it and stuff. So I gave it away, and I was like, you know what, God, I'm not going to do anything, pursue anything unless you want me to. So any opportunities coming to me, I would respond, but I would not speak anything out, no posting, no content. And that was probably the busiest year and which was confirmation for me to keep doing it. So to answer your question, I have not sought out, but people have called me, hey, you got something? Hey, I need you to, I got this event. You know, I was actually supposed to perform Mother's Day at an event. Yeah, and it got canceled because of the COVID, but I was still getting hit up, and I've been doing the same content, and I've been writing on my own time when I can. And so it's,
hello.
Is that you?
No, that's you.
Oh, the camera went out. Oh, there you are. Yeah. So
and on that note, side note to anybody listening, me and you are working on this song. This is going to be the best, most. This is the longest process it's ever taken to make an incredible song. Well, it's just because again, you've had kids, you had a lot going on. I've been over here isolated in my apartment with my cats making music. So just the time didn't work, but I think the timing is good. And I think that's really cool, not to interject, but to interject a little bit. I think that's dope, man, that you were willing enough to be like, all right, God, if you want this, you provide the opportunities. I'm not going to force things. Yeah. Because if you very easily, with your type of talent, could have booked a bunch of shows, booked a bunch of churches, a lot of spoken word. Like, you could have really grinded and put yourself in a good position. So props to you, man, for having the humility to not try to make it something that isn't like God breathed and natural. Like, that's not normal for people.
Yeah.
Especially
I mean, I've tried to, you know, when you first get a little taste, you're like, let me go. But the anxiety that comes with that, the loss of identity, the self-esteem, and there's a lot of bad stuff that comes with, I want to grind, I want to put in the work in. And while there is a place and a time for that, I noticed, like, man, I'm putting the work in, and I'm actually getting ascending. I've had one of the biggest things I've been able to do is I've opened up for Lecrae at a conference. Extreme Christian Music Conference. That's what it was. And I was like, man, I made it. I'm good.
And he's the idol. He's the big
right. And so once you get a taste of that, I was like, oh man, I need to do more of that. I need to kind of get on a label or something. And it just created more problems, anxiety around it, even though it was something that I felt was gratifying. So.
And you were gifted at it too. So it's not like you were just some regular dude's like, hey, I think I'll figure this out. Like, you've done it before. Like, you put hours, hundreds of hours, I'm sure, into the craft. But this is something that I've realized recently, not just with music, but a lot with music, but also just in my overall life, is that I lack balance. And that's kind of what I heard in you saying there, is like, we can hustle and grind all day and trying to like make our way to the top. But like areas of your life become imbalanced. Like, that's just how it is. You know, like, you have a family. Like, me personally, I didn't really have friendships. I didn't have a lot of things I wanted because I was just constantly like, go, 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 go. This is great. You know, and sometimes your intentions are good. Like, you're like, God gave me a gift. I want to exercise it. But at the same time, at some point, it becomes like your own desire of like, I want to be this, or I want to open up for this, or I want to be on this label, make this money, do this cool. And it's like, you have to have balance in your life. That's just kind of my word recently, is balance, just with everything that's going on. So like, how in this crazy time of Corona, and you are a professor, a student, a father, an athlete, an artist, like, how do you balance your life? Like, help the rest of us that don't have all that and still can't balance our lives.
Yeah, right. Well, to be fair, I think is really establishing rhythms. You know, the rhythm in life. You know, because I have a bunch of stuff that I can do, and you know, sometimes it's going to be imbalanced. Sometimes I got a paper due tomorrow, and it's not going to be a fair, balanced time. Otherwise, it's not going to get done. And so, I do think that God blesses people with the capacity to do a lot. Like, whatever that you got on your table, you are wired and structured in a certain way that you can do it. Some people will not be able to do what I'm doing because they're not wired that way. And I think that God has blessed me with a capacity where it's one thing to have a thing, but like right now, I don't feel stressed. I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel overwhelmed. I feel pretty like I'm coasting because I feel like God has blessed me in that way. And so because of that, I know that I am trusting in him. So I don't have to worry about, oh man, how am I going to get all these things? I said, God's giving me these things to be and to do. If he didn't, I wouldn't have them. The kids, the wife, the opportunities, even the gifts. So he's giving me all of these things to be a steward of. Obviously, I have the capacity, so I trust him that I have capacity. And anything that falls through the cracks, he's going to take care of. And so that mindset really kind of allows me to cruise through. I'm like, all right, and I'm very task oriented. So I've got this app called Minimalist, and I literally just put everything I got to do, and I just hit down the list, and I do it by date. And I just
what's it called? It's called Minimalist.
Minimalist, yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into it.
It's an app that it's free, and it's just a list, and it's literally you just because they talk about how you get release endorphins by writing things down and crossing it off. There's a science to that and encourages you. So the Minimalist, you literally swipe and it crosses it out, and it shows everything that you're crossing out. So now you got 20 things that you're like, okay, I'm knocking it down, so it feels good,
right?
And then it orders it by the date that you set. So I literally I don't even look down the list. I'm just like, what's next? What's next? And pretty soon everything's done. And I always feel the only time I feel anxiety is when the list is done. I'm like, is there something else I'm missing? Got too much time on my hands. What's going on?
We're similar. We're similar.
So yeah, but I think, understanding God's capacity, he blesses people with different capacity. I'm like, okay, I understand my capacity. All right. And I know that I can do all things in Christ. And so I feel like that makes me real comfortable with it. And when I stop trusting God is when I start trying to do more. I mentioned I was in a PhD. I am in a PhD program. And sometimes you trying to get the A. You want to get your paper a certain way. And I would do all-nighters. Like, okay, I'm going to just grind it out, till 4 a.m. And I did that a couple times. But I realized that, you know what? I don't feel like it's healthy. And my wife has definitely helped me with that, understanding Sabbath and grace and resting. And so part of it was, okay, I am going to give this 6 days out of the week. Because God said you can do it. I did it in 6 days. You should be able to do it in 6 days.
And you don't have to build the earth.
Yeah, right. I did the earth. Can you get your paper done? I'm like, oh, okay. And I realized that it's really just a trust issue. Do I trust that I can get this paper done within a week without going in overtime? Like I would make midnight like my cutoff. Like that's what I should do today. And I would do it, and I get a little shaky. And I was like, hey, just see what you can do.
Time's up.
And it gets done. And it's done every time. It's done every single. You find ways to get it done by giving God that tithe out of your week by saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to trust you. And it's worked out well, and I feel better. You get that peace that surpasses understanding. But man, it was shaky at first. I was like, ugh, I don't know.
Giving up trust or reliance on self in anything, is a little bit shaky at first. Like, if I'm not in control, and this being that I can't see is going to be in control, that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
But it's super encouraging for me personally to hear you say that, bro, because like, honestly, everything you're saying, you're spitting fire at me, like me personally. And so I'm sure a bunch of people are going to benefit because like, I've struggled with the same things, man. Like I've talked with my dad a lot because I feel like my dad's a wise man. And like he said, sometimes, God gifts you almost exactly what you said. God gifts you with a high capacity, but he also entrusts you to take care of that and to not abuse it, and I've fallen the trap to just abusing it, being like, I can go till 3 or 4 a.m. 7 days a week and survive and be productive. So why wouldn't I? And recently I've realized because God wants me to have peace and he wants me to rest too. Yeah. He didn't make me to just be a machine of production. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My wife says, because she calls me Superman because she thinks I can do it all. And sometimes
and you probably can.
If you can do it all, you can do these dishes, or you can help me do laundry, or if you can do it all, Superman. I'm like, that's not. We don't apply that here. We don't apply that. But she did say something. She told me something that was a good principle. She said, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I apply that with a lot of different things.
That's
which takes a lot another level of wisdom where I could do it all. It's like, does that mean you should? Is that the best thing? Because I feel, especially coming off of the surgery I mentioned earlier, I felt like I was good. But the recommendation is no heavy lifting, take it easy, take a nap. I'm like, I don't feel that way. Just because you can, that doesn't mean even from a medical perspective you should. And so I try to exercise that with a lot of different principles, rather it's finances. You got the money, should you buy it? You know, that kind of thing. You got the extra time, should you waste it on these things? And I think that's a good principle that I try to use. And, you know, my wife definitely helps me with that.
She's wise, man. I think that's wise. Like, I think literally that's why that's wisdom. That's what wisdom does. You know, like wisdom doesn't just make decisions based on feelings. Like you evolve your feelings, but also you take a step back and you have to use, like, you know, we obviously base a lot of our decision making on the Bible, but in life you need to take a step back and become informed on something and then go through a process before you make decisions. Because we tend to be emotional decision makers. Like you said, I got the money, I'm getting the kicks. I got that.
Makes sense.
But that's not wise. That's not using wisdom.
Yeah.
And you have so much going on too. Like, wisdom has got to be so key for you in your decision making with all these kids. But you were talking about, I was super excited to hear you say this. Did you say you wrote an entire curriculum that you're teaching your kids?
Oh,
not an educational curriculum per se, but like some type of curriculum.
This is custom. They are on a plan. So I know, you know, you can read all the baby books and whatnot, but your kids are your kids, and they need customization for life. You know, and people love to tell you what you should do with your kids, and I'm like, nah, you can be with them for 24/7. You may have different perspectives. So I've made I call it a curriculum, but it's just planned and intentional activities for them to do throughout the day that gets it. You know, I'm just trying to get to 7 o'clock. That is my goal every day. You wake up at 7, I'm just trying to get to 7 p.m. because that's when you have to get into bed, read the bedtime, say your prayers, and then mommy and daddy can relax. So from 7 to 7, I made a curriculum where, okay, you're gonna get the free time. And really my kids aren't in school yet, so we're trying to mimic it off of school, what they're going to do in school. Meaning you can't snack all the way through the day. It's like, I want them animal crackers, peanut butter and jelly. Can I get those chips? That's not how they do in school. Or you have to nap. I don't want to take nap now. So we try to mimic school. And this is only based on my prior knowledge of what I remember when I was younger. That's all I'm going after. So we're talking about arts and crafts. We're talking about exercise. Like, I have them doing push-ups and sit-ups, stuff off of YouTube. I'm like, you know how to do that. You running all and breaking stuff. Man, you can do some jumping jacks. And
you're teaching them discipline.
Yeah, and the structure, and then me.
100%.
And then you got your nap times, and then you got I have 2 toddlers, so I do a lot of collaboration. So I like them saying they have to play with each other. They have to literally play with the toys. There's no, this is my toy, your toy. Usually I say, are you fighting or sharing? That's like my thing. Are you fighting? Because you only those 2. There's no, you can go yourself.
You weren't sharing while you were trying to hold it by yourself.
Right. They're like, I'm sharing while they're taking it. So I'm like, gosh, these kids are genius. It kind of works against me too, because they start collaborating in mischief. You know, let's build this ladder and play with the thermostat. So
collaboration. We'll play together.
Right. I'm like, wait, what have I done? You know, so the curriculum, putting something together, and then me being a father that hands-on, because it's different when a mother and a father literally hands-on in the process, because I'm the disciplinary, I'm the structure one, I'm the one, and so that makes them fall in line easier. And then they go to mommy for the cookies and the gifts and the hugs and whatnot, and I say,
just got all the fun.
Right. And say, you know, I will, like Batman, I will be the bad guy. I will be whatever the city needs. And so
Dad always spanks me. Mom just always has candy. I don't get it.
Right. And threatens me with empty threats. Right. So
have you, I know you got so much going on and you're in the zone. Have you thought about, like, I know just a thought that came to my head. Have you thought about broadening that curriculum and then creating it as a product to sell to a consumer, like where you were able to plug in the customizable for your kid, you're able to plug in certain customizable things, and then the curriculum though itself has the same structure. Just a thought, just an idea. I had. Throwing it out there, catch
as a
it,
business professor, you're speaking my language. I'm like, oh, what's the target market for that? You know,
that's what I'm always thinking. Like, what are you doing here? Where's the development, the distribution? Let's go.
And the thing is, I mean, honestly, it could be simple as Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook. I mean, you know, I know some people want to think I need the business plan, but some people are literally just, hey, this is what I'm doing. You do it. If you want more, pay me, you know. And so,
bro, we're in a digital world now. So business plan, schmizness plan. Like, who are you pitching a business plan to start, like you said, your YouTube channel? Like, oh, what? No, where'd we go? Oh, sorry, I got a call. That's ruining it. Oh, there we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to pitch your business plan to YouTube, start a channel. You need to pitch your business plan to Facebook. Like, we're in a digital world now. Look at us. Like, there are no rules anymore. You got a product, you take it to the market and you figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
You're not a business because you have a website or a business card, or you got all this. It's the age of the facade, you know.
Yeah, man.
Make it look like I tell my students as a business, because they ask me, oh, you're a business professor, you know, I got this idea. And I said, you are a business if you are making money. It ain't got it. It's like, I got a website, I've got this slogan. I say, what do you do? No, because we got this, you know, I got this logo and this saying goes like this, and
yeah,
you know,
great.
It's branding, and I got an Instagram page with. I said, what do you do? I gotta go back to the drawing board, and I'm like.
But at least you're able to help guide some of these kids, because I'm sure a lot of them have great ideas, but they don't understand yet the world we live in, where the world is a marketplace, and if your product doesn't sell, it's a failure. And I'm sorry, that's how life works. Right. Yeah, and if your product sells, then you've built a business. That's how it works. And
I try to normalize it, because you know, I think people think of the business suits, they think of, you know, fancy website. I'm like, I always compare a lemonade stand, because that's a business. It's the easiest thing. Sugar, lemon in the water, little stand, okay, the little girl in the corner. That is, now, how does your business relate to that? And you know, I think some people make it overcomplicated, you know, and so I think it is helpful, and I do like engaging with the students of that, because I work with college students, and so they're there, they want to be there, so they're not quite high school students. I'm a little older than them, so I'm like more the bigger brother, more than just the senior adult, and so it's a good dynamic that I enjoy collaborating with them and teaching them.
And I mean, you have experience in the business world too, right? Yeah. Like, so it's not like you're just coming from left field, like, oh, I'm a professor, like uppity professor guy. You're like, no, I'm a practitioner of business. Like, I've been in a business. So we were talking about how you left speaking of being in the business world, you left a very nice, comfy job to go back to school.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a risk. And like you said, so many people, from what I understand, so many people did not think that was a great idea, did not agree with you. You're going to leave 6 figures to go to no figures? Like,
didn't make sense.
Talk about that, because I've had a similar experience.
Yeah,
so I would like to hear your perspective.
It was crazy. It was and really the only really motivated, it was like, that was the most stressful time of my life. Long hour. I was told the job was financial analyst. So I worked as an equity accountant, a logistics analyst, and financial analyst, and a business analyst. So I did a lot of different roles with business and accounting and finance. And so long hours, closing was crazy, tons of spreadsheets, Excel, meetings, and I didn't enjoy it, you know, but you made the money. So I'm like, I'm good. But I realized how stressful it was, where definitely closing, you're working like maybe 14 hours. You go home, sleep for 4 hours, and you got to be back. And it's like that, hey, that's the nature of the business, but you're getting compensated well. And so, but I realized that I was really miserable. I wasn't feeling it. And I didn't, and it wasn't this, because some people like to glorify it. You know what? I'm done with the man, or I'm done the 9 to 5, and I'm gone. It was not that kind of process. I took 100 days of fasting, to hear from God. Is this, because we're talking about loss of insurance. We're talking about an interruption or disruption in my career. I'm not just responsible for myself. I have a wife and
kids
about, and which wasn't just like, oh yeah, do what you want, baby. It was not that. It was like, so what you gonna do?
You're gonna do what? You're quitting your job?
Right. So it was a conversation. So it was a process to leave. But once I took it, I left. I felt like God was calling me into education, but I still didn't know what. I didn't know if that meant being a principal or being a recruiter, an advisor, being, you know, an elementary school teacher. I was kind of like, I think it's education. I don't know what, but I'm going to search and God will lead the way. So it wasn't a popular decision. And just a funny thing, the day I quit my job, the day after, my wife said she was pregnant.
Oh
and
my gosh.
I freaking was like, hey, y'all know I was just playing, right? Can I get back in?
That was a joke.
I was like, yo.
You guys can handle a joke around here.
Yeah. That was nerve-wracking.
That's the
I was like,
timing.
Was this Jesus or something else? I don't know. But it worked out well. I pursued a different endeavor. Me and my wife worked together well because she was still working and she's still in corporate and working in that capacity.
Does she enjoy that, what she does?
No. And so part of it is you get to do that, or not that you get to, but more so that, okay, you're doing that and that's something I want to do, but it's also the understanding what your purpose is. She's still working that out, but it's important not to move prematurely. And she feels like, okay, and it really having her job as a solidified our health insurance, which related to our son's medical journey. So it became a staple part of the process, not necessarily for the money, but for their medical insurance. And so, but then I also thought, okay, as the man, as the leader in the family, I have to lead by example. And so what does it look like to chase after your purpose? And not be consumed with money or lusting after other gifts, you know. Some people say, oh, I want to be a rapper just because they like what they see, but they don't know they're not good at rapping, for example. So I was like, okay, I also want my children to see me doing something I love to do and in line with God. And so that was kind of my motivation between leaving. Like everybody that I'm responsible for is watching me and I have to lead by example. So what does it look like to literally walk your life by faith? I think it was my pastor, he said, he was from Jamaica, and he said he saw his dad be a traveling minister that never took money. And literally he would go to Jamaica, and sometimes they'd have to eat off of mango trees just to eat. And he literally saw his dad live a life based on faith. Meaning, I don't know what I'm going to get my check tomorrow, and he would tell him, don't worry, son, God's got us. He's like, what do you mean God's got us? You know, but it happened. And I was like, man, that is so cool. That's how I want to do that for my kids. And
that gives me chills. I got chills. I don't know if the camera.
It was even real good. That's how I felt when I listened. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And so I said, you know what? I want to do that. I didn't realize how hard it is. That is crazy hard. I was like, oh, this is not good.
This is real.
This is what it means. This is what his father was doing.
This is a real thing.
Right. I'm like, you don't know what's going to happen, but you just got to act like you do. Like, oh, God's got us. Don't worry about it. You know, if the lights go off, we have candles. And so that's one of the biggest motivators that I wanted to leave that legacy for my children, to see that, okay, I'm going to leave somewhere I know God doesn't want me, and I don't have the next month figured out. And fast forward today, I tell people all the time, I use it as a financial analyst, and I'm very strategist kind of person. I always think of, you know, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, or, you know, if you have a career, chart out the trajectory. I am now going month to month with my life like it is rent, because I every time I think, okay, like my PhD program that I had no money for, I told my wife, Lauren, I said, hey, I'm going to go. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, but the second we can't pay for it, I'm not going. It's that simple, you know?
How many years later now?
3 years later, right?
3 years later.
I said to go, and I'm still going. And same thing with the career, you know, I'm saying I was going to be a tutor. and we'll see where it goes. I don't know what's going to happen next month. And then they offer me to be a professor. Oh, you did good teaching, tutoring. Would you like to be a teacher? I said, yeah, you pay me.
Sure.
And so, and then I still doing that because I'm an adjunct professor at 2 colleges, and I've just been doing those for about 5 years now.
And what does that mean? That
So,
you are able to teach at both schools part-time or full-time?
Yeah, it's a part-time job. And so so meaning people like to be a full-time in education because of the benefits, the money, the job security, that kind of thing. As an adjunct, people like to do that because of flexibility. You literally do a contract for semester, each semester, then you renew a semester, you get paid less. You don't have benefits, but you're not exactly obligated to do some of the responsibilities, like all the meetings, or
you're more flexible.
You're a lot more flexible. So a lot of people like that because they can go in and out when they can. And that worked for me for the time being, for the 5 years, because of all the situations with my family that required my wife to work full time. I was flexible enough, like I can cancel class when I want to if there's some emergency has happened, and versus somebody that's full time. So that has worked out well. And if you can work adjunct in multiple places.
Oh, nice.
So if one school shuts down, it's all over, they close or whatever, you just go to your other place. And
nice.
And I've worked at I worked at SMU, I worked at El Central, Paul Quinn, and a couple other places. So it's been a blessing to have this new flexibility that I didn't know existed. So technically I'm self-employed. I am contracting out my teaching abilities. That's kind of how
you're a contract worker.
Yeah.
In the educational realm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, as far as to bring it to the COVID thing, I know we haven't even talked about that, but I just was thinking, like, as a teacher and a professor, or I'm sorry, a professor and a student, I'm sorry. Well, you're learning and you're teaching at the same time, and everything has now come into your home with your kids, with your wife, who also works a full-time job. Like, what have been the pros and cons of COVID lockdown in the Morehouse?
So it's even though the COVID is like shutting down the country, is not that different. With 3 kids, we weren't going out that much anyway.
Great point.
So it's like, oh, everybody else is like us now. Okay, that's
so we all transitioned to your lifestyle.
right. With toddlers and kids, or what? It ain't too many crazy date nights, and coupled with the medical journey where my son, he's immune suppressed. He's got a new kidney transplant.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
So
that my son, born with end-stage renal failure. What that means is he was born in utero, in the stomach of my wife, and he had a blocked bladder that was increasing. So imagine a little bladder that's blocked, can't go with the fluid. So it's increasing, which does damage to the other organs like the lungs. So my wife is pregnant with Jaden. If no medical intervention, he would most likely be born and suffocate because his lungs didn't develop. So that is what we're trying to avoid. That was the whole premise. So they put in, which is crazy, this is like something out of a TV show. They go through my wife's stomach into his stomach in a fetal surgery, and put a shunt, like a silicone funnel, into his stomach so all the fluid can flow out. And
that's insane.
We
never heard of such a thing.
I mean, we didn't either. We went to Houston, Herman Memorial Hospital, where they did the surgery, and it was a miracle. This is the first miracle. A miracle that he even got selected, because you have to be a candidate, meaning there's too much damage to your kidneys because of the situation. Won't even do it. So on Friday, there was damage on his kidneys. Then they do 2 tests. We'll test it on Friday, and then we'll test it on Monday. Damage on Friday, nothing on Monday. So we don't know what happened in that 3 days of time when he was that little as a fetus. We said on Friday, they were like, yeah, it looks like there's some cysts on the kidneys and might not be an eligible
candidate,
but we'll see. And then they saw another, and they're like, everything gone. And so they brought in the chief people. They're looking at the scans. They're like,
no.
No, but we see it there. And we're like, so that means we good, right?
So we're in.
So they're like, he's good. And so we were praying that weekend. I remember us praying because and before that, it was a very penultimate part of our journey because they actually advised us to abort him. And they said, wow, as believers, we're like, well, we don't really do abortion. We're pro-life, but it's more challenging because they presented a argument that said, okay, there's like 30% chance he'd survive in this whole grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. There's a chance if we go through this, it'll do damage to the mother, right? And you've already proven that you get pregnant. So, and you only have 2 weeks, because I guess in the state of Texas, a certain week amount, you can't abort, right? So you only have 2 weeks. So we have to make this decision quickly. And he's probably not going to make it anyway. It's very low percent, and it can do damage to the mother. And he might do fine, and you have to do a stillbirth and then have to live with that. And so they're just putting this whole argument.
Right. They did not make it sound pretty.
Oh man. And they're just kind of like, you know what? You just might, and it's a risk. You might want to.
That's your first kid. Yeah. They're basically telling you, hey, this first one might not work out. Probably won't. And go a step further.
And this is how I know this was the devil. Meaning this is not medical advice. They also said, and even if he's born with these deficiencies, marriages that have these kind of kids are 60% more likely to end in divorce. Now, why would a medical professional offer that information to some young couple that's trying to make
relationship counselors?
Right. So
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't ask you that.
Say what you talk about your field of expertise, but don't start throwing. That's not professional in my opinion.
So it was an attack on our mind, and that's where.
Then you start thinking, oh crap! Like, is our marriage gonna work out? What if it just puts fear in your head, huh? I can't imagine.
And then, as the man or as the husband and the wife, what if one person says yeah and one person says no, and it's like.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, it was bad because we got in those arguments and those real conversations where
we haven't even had the baby yet. This is crazy.
But you all this information is funneling your brain and you're scared, you're worried, you want to make. And my wife, I'm like the decision maker, and so we went back and forth. And she's like, I'll let you make the decision. Again,
you got to do that to me.
Right, that's easy. So. And so that was the big first decision with the whole medical journey. And I said, especially being a believer, I said, you know what? We either believe in God or we don't. We got to go all in. And really what I felt like is that we're really saving our feelings, meaning the baby showers, doing the pictures and stuff, putting the crib together, and then having the baby die and have to face all of that. That's really what we were trying to preserve our feelings from.
Sure,
and I said, because that's the reason, we are not going to abort them. We're going to fully trust God, and whatever comes our way. If we got to take the hit, we're going to take the hit. And you fast forward 4 years later, he is alive, running crazy, rampant well. And it's been a difficult journey. But man, that goes, this makes me think going all the way back to the original decision, the original thought that, me and her decided we were going to put our money on God. Even when everything, even logically, from the logical stand, it said, we need to hear them. And so it's been a blessing since that. So then he was born. But he was born with end-stage renal failure. So even though his lungs are good, other organs are good, his kidneys are damaged. And so you can't live with bad kidneys. And he's a little baby.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, you can't put a kidney in a baby. And you can't put little baby kidneys in a baby because they're not developed. So you can only put an adult kidney in a baby. So he was on dialysis. And he was so young. And these are just miracles sprinkled throughout the whole story. But the fact that he was so young and can be on dialysis where his blood pressure and his body can take being hooked to a machine, pumping his blood. They don't even make catheters that small. And he actually had to find a special catheter in order to put in his body to hook to the machine to pump his blood. And it was just crazy to see all of this. And he was in the hospital, and me and Lorianne were in the hospital with him for 8 months. And so it was a long stint. And we just
never left the hospital for 8 months?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was there for 8 months, and me and
That's
her.
crazy. The first 8 months of your child, you just watched him in a hospital.
Yeah.
That's
learned,
crazy.
we did everything. And because of that, you can be developmentally behind because you're not natural in the natural environment. So he's had a lot of different therapies, a lot of different, he's had up to date, he's had 26 procedures, 26 different. So yeah, all on a baby. And so
insane.
Yeah, and we had to pray through all those different surgeries, the mishaps, the catheters, the infections, the cynical doctors, and the ones that were like borderline atheists, if not declaring atheists, because we met some of those as well. And so it just, through the whole journey, his journey, it taught us a lot about that God only got us through that journey. Believing.
Yeah, because everything was stacked against you. I mean, from a logical standpoint.
Yeah, and actually the doctor called it when we were in that hospital talking about abortion and stuff. He said, okay, you got that, but even if he gets it, and this is what he said, just know that you are climbing Mount Everest. And so that sticks in our mind because that's basically the imagery he gave us. That this whole journey, even if it goes well, your life with this child is climbing Mount Everest. And
which is super dangerous and risky, and most people don't even accomplish that.
It is hard. And so will you, and this is just God as far as mountains and moving mountains. Well, Jaden got his transplant at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, New York. Right. And I said, we started with the mountain and now we're about to end with it.
That's cool.
Amazing how all of the stuff that they threw at Jaden, him being a little kid, he's relentless because of the surgeries he's endured, the medications, the infections, all that stuff. And that's really resonates with me about him is that if he never gave up from the very beginning, we can't give up on him. And so it has been a journey with him. And so it's really, and now he has a part of me, literally, of my kidney.
He's got your kidney in him. And it's giving him life and energy, like you said, to run around and be a kid.
Yeah, it's really giving him life. And I think that
chills.
This is great because, and I feel like it's all, like you said earlier, connected to God because I feel like God has been preparing me for this. Because college, used to smoke, used to drink, used to turn up, terrible habits. When you drink, that means you got to eat bad because you got to get the midnight snacks and whatnot.
Yep.
All of that stuff, right?
The whole cycle of living the party lifestyle is just all detrimental to you. The whole thing's detrimental.
Right. Late night hours, not sleeping. And so I did that. And so God challenged me in each of those areas back in leaving college, getting with my wife. We were engaged, so I didn't drink. I stopped drinking, stopped smoking, stop eating bad and stuff. This is all way before this whole thing. And would you know that the only reason I'm eligible to donate a kidney is because I don't smoke, I don't drink.
Look at that.
That's crazy. I'm fit. I have high blood pressure that runs in my family. And so if I continue this, I would have high blood pressure and then my kidney would be no good. I could not give my kidney to my son. And literally, a familial kidney or a father or mother is the best thing because the closer to match, the more likely it'll last long and not be. You can get a straight, but it may not work. And then my wife, which we didn't know at the time, while we were looking at which one should give a kidney, she was pregnant.
Oh, right.
So I literally was the only and the best option. And even that process, they denied me.
Really?
Yes, they said I have a letter right now that says you are not eligible because your blood pressure is high.
And so what happened?
I didn't believe it. I did not take it.
I love that. Let's take a moment for that. I didn't believe it.
They said because what you do is you do a blood pressure test and you put it on and you keep it for 24 hours. And I was traveling that day from New York to Texas. And so I believe, and it's like a blood pressure and it pumps. So if you're moving, if it's influenced by other things,
Sure, you're supposed to sit still and barely like just.
Yes, 24 hours. You're supposed to every like 20 minutes. You're supposed to. So if you're driving and I've done this, you got to go. Oh, okay, right. It's the weirdest thing, but it's so. And so I said, nah, I don't think. And they said, well, sir, you know, your wife is coming in town for a wedding. You know, we need to consider doing her, or we have to close you out if we want to start on her. And so everybody was like saying, hey, you know, you've been counted out, you know, you're eligible, just move on to the wife, you know, she's already going to be there with the flight. Don't waste the flight. Don't waste the trip. And I, again, another decision. I said, you know what? Rush decisions are never the best decisions.
Wisdom.
I'm like, this is a surgery. This is life. This is a surgery on my wife, potentially. I said, we're going to take our time. We're going to make sure we get it right. And if anybody's watching, any medical thing you don't agree with, just have them do it again. There's nothing wrong with that, or second opinion. And so I ended up doing that blood pressure test 5 times for 5 different reasons. And
wow. And it was a no 4 times? No.
It was no. It wasn't. Some of it was inconclusive data, meaning it didn't read when I held it for 24/7, or they accidentally deleted the data at the place, and so I had to do it again. And so
like there's like this fight against you, like almost this like unseen fight against you to not get.
That's what I'm saying.
I can hear it. It makes perfect sense.
And it's supposed to be just a routine thing. You just to check the block, and it was like, you know, we're gonna move on. And I was like, but over this time of 4 months, and it was a blessing to have those no's or those inconclusive. It was frustrating. I had anxiety. Like, oh man. I started working out every day, but twice. I usually do like 1 cycle of workout. I doubled that. I adopted a low sodium diet. I thought that maybe vegan or, you know, no meat, but it turns out really sodium is which is sprinkled in everything, in every diet, it's sodium. And so I adopted a low sodium diet. So over the course of this time, I lost 15 pounds just by low sodium, drinking more water, no more. Because I'm like, okay, as I'm taking these tests, I want to better my chances.
Sure.
And so, and my blood pressure, because they said my history of blood pressure is counted against me. And so they made me do a stress test. I mean, electrodes, hitting the treadmill. They took echo of my heart, all the chambers. Maybe you don't have it now, but maybe you had it back then. It was undiagnosed. So all of that, it was fine.
Everything against you through the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. Like, and I was like, it really, and even some family members and friends, other people were saying, you know what, I'll do it because you can't do it. And it was just like there's little shots, just and I you know, I just really stayed. I really believed that I was supposed to be the one to give my kidney to my son. And I also believed, as I looked through all the different people around me, I felt, going back to that capacity, I felt like I had the capacity to adopt a new lifestyle that had 1 kidney. You can't drink, eat, or sleep the same way because you have higher risk. I know some people that were trying to volunteer, they're in a better, worse condition. I'm like, do you know what this means after? Like,
they weren't in good shape to be doing that.
Yeah, and it also called you to have a certain lifestyle after, because you only have 1 kidney. And I said, I feel like this is a burden that I can only bear. And
it's your own blood. Like, this is your kid.
Yeah. It's like, I'm gonna take care of him. And ironically, after the surgery, we go there because we had a surgery in New York and we're here in Texas.
Right.
Surgery, and they said the kidney, because the kidneys, typically, rule of thumb is your kidney is about as big as your fist. And so you hold your fist up to a little kid, you're like, okay, it might be too big. It's kind of tight, it's packed in there. And they said my kidney was a perfect fit for my son.
Really?
They put it in there.
Dang.
Because sometimes you get a kidney in a kid, they have to leave it open until it acclimates. But
to the size difference?
Yep. Yeah, the size difference. And it was a perfect fit. And they said all the electrolytes, all his levels look great. The kidney is working effectively because you can put it in there and not work. And, and so everything aligned perfectly. And so it was just God throughout the whole process, because it's not a smooth process. And so every challenge, every uncertainty, and there's tons of other little things that just happen through it. But we can look, me and my wife can look back on it and be like, wow, like God really blessed that whole situation, starting all the way back from when the
in your college years.
Yeah. Like
just like you said, cutting out those habits just to put you in a position for 5-6 years later. Hey, you are qualified because you don't smoke, and you're like, I did this long ago, or you don't drink, so you're good. I did. Like, it's just crazy to see life, like the plans pan out. I even look back at my own life and I'm like, well, that happened because this happened in a good way, but that was terrible. You know, that was horrible, but thank God that happened. So then this happened, and now this good thing happened.
Yeah.
It's wild the way that life ends up working out, huh?
Motivation. I was, I'm literally, I remember like I was going through those tests and stuff. I was like, I'm literally doing these push-ups to save somebody's life. So get up and do those push-ups. Stop crying. I was like, I don't feel like it. But literally, I correlated me working out to literally somebody saving somebody's life and my son. So that motivation put me in a whole new mindset. I'm like, man, if I just had that mindset on other things, like literally that motivation. So it pushed me in ways I've never been pushed before.
Sure.
I was on the line. And
but you're a super motivated, motivated, driven, like you quit a 6-figure job to go to school. Like that you have a different like slice of DNA in you that a lot of people don't have, which obviously I think number one comes from your deep-rooted faith, but also God's given you some unique gifts, man. Like I've just been thinking about this. One, that you left your job when everybody told you, even your wife was kind of like, what I'm trying to say is, I guess, is like you're a person that's gonna stand for what you believe in and do what you feel is right, even if it's 100% against the grain and opinion of everyone around you. Like, that's a super admirable trait, man. Like when you were talking about how even your family and doctors are like, and you're like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I'll go back to New York 5 times. Like, that's something people don't have, man. Like, I just gotta give you some props for that, man. That's incredible, just an incredible character trait that God gifted you with, man. To be so solid in your belief system and the things that you feel are right. You're so morally solid that, like, I don't care what anybody says. You tell me stories all day, Dr. Joe, and this and that. I don't care how educated you are. I know the conviction in my heart. Like,
I thank God for that. It's funny because when it's my PhD, and it called full circle once again, because my PhD subject is actually grit. And
grit? How ironic.
Right.
Entire, like this whole chapter, years of your life has just been grit. And then you're like, I'm gonna write this PhD, this thesis about grit. I have a little experience.
Right.
That's great.
I'm doing deep dive of that subject matter, and because I identify with it, because you want to do something you're passionate about. But now that I'm learning the science and the literature and the academics of it, now I'm able to see it in a different light, and it's very helpful. I'm like, why does God make my life based on grit in this X factor that people have, right? That go above and beyond. And now I'm studying it in a scholarly level. And it's like, okay. And I'm just waiting on the update. Like, what you doing with all this? Because it's all related, all interrelated.
Oh, you know there's more coming. This is just the next chapter to the next chapter.
Right. There's more coming. Right. As long as I'm here, it's like, oh, you don't get comfortable.
Are you gonna sell that are you gonna sell that grit thesis, that paper? Are you gonna sell it? Or are you gonna distribute it out?
It's funny you say that. What I'm learning is that all the PhD people turn their dissertation into a book. They just, because you already write like 100 pages.
Why not?
It's like just put a cover on it. So
we got 2 businesses here. We got the child daily structure business,
right,
or whatever we call that. Your daily curriculum for $19.95. And then we're gonna sell this, and it's gonna be incredible. We got 2 businesses just out of your dome piece right here. This is great.
Oh man!
I expect royalties.
Royalty.
You're doing all the work.
So yeah, man.
I do want to ask you, because I like to ask everybody. but I think I already know your answer because I know you. How fearful are you of coronavirus? Way off topic, but we're coming back to Corona.
Okay.
How scared are you of coronavirus? How is it affecting your daily thoughts? Are you tapped into the news? Like me and my sister have talked about, like some people like a lot of information. Some people don't trust the news. Some people get their info off the internet. Like with all that you have going on, and then, oh, hey, by the way, global pandemic. How's your head when it comes to coronavirus? Do you care? Like, what's your take on coronavirus, COVID-19?
So definitely not fearful. I don't feel that strong. Definitely concerned.
I didn't think so.
Concerned is the appropriate term because the person in our household, Jaden, that I've been talking about, he is one of the population that can die. That can literally, he's literally taking medication to suppress his immune system. So it is a real concern. So
high risk.
Yeah, high risk. And so that just kicks us into hypervigilance is what my wife calls it. She's definitely in that zone more than me. I'm more laid back, but we got a system of grocery shopping, the delivery pickup, and then we back it out into the garage, and then we get the gloves and wipe it all down. Yeah. Then she brings it in and she does a separate wipe down because just in case whatever happened through there. So we concerns also about the strategic decisions that we have to make, because ironically, because of the leadership from all the way up top, from the president and now, states are doing things that they individually think is right, which is trickling down to what each household feels like they're doing is right. Some people say, I don't need a mask. Some people say I need 2 masks. And so that's what it's really made me about the decision making and the strategy from the day-to-day life, saying, go to Nana's house. It's like, well, what does that look like? Or is there inherent risk to him? How long are we going to do this for, even though businesses are opening up? So it really just makes more concerns of the decisions that we have to make. I do have my theories of where we're going to see what's going to happen. Coming down the line.
Because what's coming down the pipes and what the future holds is not returning to normal, as we know, and a large economic impact that I don't think people have really grasped yet. Because they're like, oh, as soon as we start opening up businesses, I feel, at least the feelings I get from the internet and the people I talk to, is kind of like, well, businesses are opening, we're almost over it. Yeah, we may be, you laugh at that, but that's a lot of people's take, is that as soon as the government says businesses are open, coronavirus must be gone, and there won't be any impacts. You guys don't understand economics. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think
we're not in a great economic place.
I think, unfortunately, the thing that I'm fearful of is the cultural impact of COVID. And I think that 2 subcultures will form out of this that we already see evidence of, that because the country is going to open back up, right? So then, but there's still limited information and still a lot of fear, and different people have different levels of risk. And so I think you're going to have these people that are social distancers that are going to conduct their life differently, because I don't think COVID is going anywhere. It's going to be like the flu. It's something you live with. Flu season, COVID season, do what you can. And then you're going to have people that are anti-social distancing, meaning I got to get my money, or I got to see my movies, or I got to, and so it's going to cause a divide in the country that is already happening, where family members are going to say, hey, I want to come by and see the kids, or I want to come by and do that. And they're like, oh, we're not doing that. Yeah. And they're like, well, why aren't you? We've been family for 30 years and stuff. And those real conversations are going to happen at a very low level. Then you go about friends, colleagues. Hey, come into work. I'm not coming into work. It's sick. I want to work from home. Well, we don't think you need to work from home because you're not as productive. So then do you stay? You're going to have those kind of things happen. And it's going to be a culture of people that will want to fight it and people that will want to live and go on. And rather you think they're right or wrong, you have to acknowledge that it exists. Right. And so I'm getting ready for those different confrontations, rather it's with my boss, rather it's with my family, rather it's with me being an artist and having to go out there and what that looks like. Because some people want you to do meet and greets. It's like, I'm just getting on the stage and I'm getting out, but then they're like, well, you signed up for. And so it really it's changed our world and I don't think people really understand how it's going to change.
How
and
it's
so
going
I'm
to look
just
so
speculating.
different.
Yeah, it's gonna be different. I think I was thinking they're talking about the NFL and NBA season. I could see the NFL season, nothing change.
Whew,
it's gonna open up, and you're gonna see half the stadium with people with masks and half the stadium with none, and everybody will enjoy the game. And it's gonna be a new reality.
Yeah, and that's why we keep.
And unfortunately, people are going to die as a result throughout that whole process. Sure. Because there's no systematic way to fight it.
Right. It's almost just like our education system, like in an elementary level, where it's all inclusive and it's kind of fit to one mold. But the most beneficial way is to individually educate each person, and that's how people are going to have to do with this. They can't just be like, all right, everybody wear masks and gloves and it works. Like, no, for you, mask might feel good. For you, like everyone's going to have to, like you said, make a strategic decision on how do I move forward based on the information I have and my own internal convictions of, like, I have a family member that's at risk, or I have a child that's at risk, or I don't have anything and I feel like going out and seeing the game. Like, it's going to be interesting because everyone's going to have to make real decisions that I don't think they have thought through yet. And obviously you have thought through that.
Oh yeah. And for me, with the son that's at risk, I'm like, I don't care what y'all do, I'm not going outside because it's a son. Now, if I was single and out there, I might take a $17 flight to Vegas.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I those people that are doing that, I get why they are making those decisions. I 100%. Completely understand. You don't feel like nothing's at risk. I'm not hurting anybody. I am taking it upon myself. And if people feel scared or at risk, stay inside and, stay in your bubble, Right. And those are real conversations that people are having. And I think that, you have to know where you stand. And I know where I stand because of my child. And so that's easy for me. That's an easy, and honestly, I'm an introvert. So give me some Netflix, some video games, cheese pizza, I'm good, Right. So I don't need like, oh man, I need connection. I need to connect. This is connecting for me. So, but that's how I'm wired.
The internet has connected us.
Right. My wife is, what? I want to have game night and have everybody over all the time because that. And when I'm tired at the end of the night, y'all want to play Monopoly again? I was like, one time is just enough. So
I quit.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, I think people have to wrestle with that for themselves and be challenged. Right. So I'll be interested to see what this looks like a year from now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's also a time for people to learn how to be empathetic to others. Like you said, like you literally said, I understand the guy that's on the $17 flight to Vegas. Like I understand that, and we're gonna have to be empathetic. If I'm wearing a mask, I'm gonna have to be empathetic that person doesn't want to wear a mask. If I'm going out and I realize that, these people are behaving this way and I disagree, I'm gonna have to be empathetic to the fact that, like, they may or may have not thought through all that and they may disagree with me on how we move forward. So it's gonna be interesting, to your point, to see in a year, how are people just on a personal level interacting with and dealing with each other. Because this is another thing that our country, we already have enough divisiveness in our country, right? Republican, Democrat, black, white, gay, not, we couldn't even name how many disagreements. And now we got, and how do we handle COVID, right?
Right.
It's gonna be interesting. It's a test for people. It's a test of people's character and how they're going to. I was talking to my mother earlier, and she's had several interactions with people, good in a really good way, where she's like, that normally doesn't happen. They were extremely nice and kind and warm-hearted. And then some other people, she's like, that normally doesn't happen. They were extremely cold-hearted and rude and almost bitter that I was even talking to them. So it'd be interesting to see the character of people as we kind of move through this whole thing.
Poses it all.
You know
I
what I'm saying?
COVID, literally, God has allowed COVID to happen. Meaning, I don't believe he caused it.
Sure.
Because I believe that, disease comes from a fallen world, which is another form of sin, right? And so, because he allowed it, he's like, okay, I'm about to expose all y'all. Rather your idols, rather your convictions, rather your integrity, if you have integrity. And it's like, now it's all about to be at the forefront. Man, it's like, okay, let's see what we got. And so and on a personal level, it's exposed because I'm in a house with 4 other individuals that I'm responsible for. And I've been on a different call, and they in my men's line Bible study, and they asked, okay, what is COVID trying to get out of you? What do you think God is trying to get out of you during this season? And for me, it is definitely servant leadership, serving first in order to lead others. And I've got a house, including the dog, a house full of people that need for me specifically, like daddy or baby, or even the dog looking at me like, can I get a pet? And I'm like, man, and I'm just like, let me get back in my closet. Like, I want to go out there. So, but it's really told me to, you don't get angry, not to get angry because I've gotten angry, not to get bitter, resentful because I've been bitter and resentful, trying to be where I can be a humble servant. Like, I'm glad the opportunity to serve my kids that are breaking and writing on the walls and stuff. Like, hey, let me get you cookies. It is hard. And I know, and I've been like, where's my biggest stressor? What is the tension in my life? And it's literally through serving, where my wife could ask me, hey, could you give me some water? Get yourself. You know what I've been doing all day? Or it could be,
do I look like I make water?
Right? Want some ice with that? And so that has been a real test for me, which has nothing to do with what's going on outside. Has nothing to do. Like, it's literally with me and my family, and how do I better serve them? Because that is the tension, especially when I have a little 4-month-old that only cries, poops, and eats. That's it. That is what he does. And I kind of watch. Part of the struggle is that it's also a lack of sleep, because we have a 4-month-old that wakes up every 3 hours, 24 hours a day, every 3, no matter what time, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 3 around the clock, and you got to be there when he wakes up, and that is like crazy. He's like a machine. I'm like, I can almost anticipate when I need to have a bottle. Like, if I go to bed late, like at 1 a.m., I'm like, oh no, I only got 2 hours left. I'm on the clock.
Oh, it's 2:58.
Right. You hear stirring.
Here we go.
So yeah, I've been challenged in that way. And now that I acknowledge that and I see that, I say, okay, you got to get prayed up. I remember I heard this artist, Seven is his name.
I know Seven.
You know Seven? Yeah. And he said, as a Christian, you should never wake up thinking that somebody will not offend you. You should already be. Great. It was just not nuggets. I was like, I couldn't even steal it. He said, you should not. What you surprised for, that you're going to be upset that somebody's going to be rude to you? Why would you think Jesus died on the cross? They spit his face. Why would you think anything other? And I said, that's why quiet time and reading the Bible in the morning is important, because you got to get revved up and prepared, because the shots are coming. And my
daily
shots are coming
from,
man, my shots come from toddlers and little babies, and and I'm like, they're going to do something to make you and piss you off. Why would you think otherwise? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a great day. No, it's not. They're going to offend you. Now you give them grace.
100%.
And if you run out, I forget it.
Facts, that's facts. I had Ryan. I had Ryan on here the other day, and me and him were chopping up. We were talking about the importance of daily disciplines, such as reading your Bible, being in the Word, and he's saying that's a struggle for him, and I totally understand. And I can't imagine for you trying to fit that in with all the other things you got going on. Like, I'm single, I got 2 cats, so I'm like, wake up, Jesus, let's go. It's not as hard. Like, for somebody and even with no other like things needing me, right? I don't have kids. I don't have a spouse at the moment. Fingers crossed someday. No kids. But even then, like, it does take discipline. Anything good in life takes discipline. It took me discipline to get in the habit of opening my Bible every day. That took discipline. Like you, it took discipline to work out twice a day. Like, nobody works out twice a day. Like, it takes discipline. I've enjoyed this because I've heard so many things that I think a lot of people might want to self-analyze and say, like we talked about earlier, is my life in balance? Do I actually handle things with grit? Am I willing to stand for what I believe in? Right? Like, do I think through things and try to make wise choices when it comes to coronavirus or anything in life? Do I make emotional decisions? Or like you said, we're taking 2 weeks. This is a life decision. Like, I've enjoyed talking to you because I think a lot of this stuff, we humbly say, look, we struggle with this stuff, but these are things that we should all be wrestling with, is trying to become the best that we could possibly be, and not in some corny Instagram quote type way, like be the best you could be, live,
right,
laugh, love. Like, no, because God gave me breath in my lungs as a human to live for whatever extended time I have, in the fullness of what he's given me, not like a 30% of it, not 40%, not like, oh, I did a good job. Like, no, do a great job. That's grit. That's what that all takes.
Yeah, I mean, man.
And you, with having so much going on, just my hat is off to you, man, for being able to maintain such moral integrity with so much, where it's very easy to like, all right, cool, I'm clocking out at 7. Like, I'm gonna go play Xbox or do whatever I want to do. Like, you're like, no, I'm gonna get a PhD. It's 7 o'clock. I'm in for a PhD. That's drive, man. Dedication.
In my recreational time.
People don't
have God has been faithful. I appreciate you just having this platform to have these kind of conversations, because
I love it.
I think that the blessings always come in the morning. Like, sometimes I know if I yell at my kid and I'm like, dang, I'm supposed to be gracious, I'm supposed to be loving, I was like, you know what? Do better tomorrow, just like, because it might be a tall order, you might be down, but just learning from our mistakes and just saying, you know what, I did not do that well today, I'm gonna do it better tomorrow, and get even a little closer. I remember I'm about to yell, I'm like, almost, I did it yesterday, but not today, and if I did it today, I'll do it tomorrow. So yeah, man, I think it's really encouraging just to hear a lot of the subjects that we talked about.
I think that's key too. Like what you said right there is like, we sometimes tend to, as humans, and me, I just speaking for myself, I tend to be very much like I beat myself up a lot. I'm like, I didn't do that well. I didn't do this well. I should have done that better. I wish I could. It's so past focused, which, as we know logically, the past is over with. There's 0% chance you're ever getting it back. But we still battle with like this sense of insecurity that I wasn't good enough. I didn't do good enough. And I think that's amazing what you said is, I'm going to do better tomorrow. That's the most logical thing you could possibly do. And it's the most beneficial for your life. Stop looking back. Stop looking back. Yeah. Face forward next. It's hard, but it'll change your life.
That's good. Yeah, man. I'm very future oriented anyway. So I'm always thinking like the future. And it helps because I can, beat myself up just like anybody else, Sure. It's like, oh man, you didn't read the Bible today. It's like, you know what? I'm reading the verse tomorrow. Yeah.
Again, do you think God was like, oh, got him? Didn't read today. I saw you. Like, there's no scorecard. There's no scorecard going on.
Right.
Like, they're covered in grace. Like that. Grace covers everything, man.
Yeah.
Blood covers everything.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm hyped. You got me hyped, man. Do you have anything? You're a wise dude, man. Like, in all seriousness, you're a very wise dude. Like, do you have what's a few tidbits you'd give people? It doesn't have to be specific to COVID, but like, as we're all trying to, as a society, move forward after a struggle, with struggles coming, but as we try to move through the struggle, as somebody that's got a lot of wisdom, man, like what is a couple things that you want to put out there?
I think I'm wise because I just take a whole bunch of stuff from other people and I just put it back.
And humble. And he's humble.
Right. So, but my pastor talked about something that really resonated with me as it relates to COVID. He talked about don't waste your COVID. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm going to work out, or I'm going to work on that business. And it almost is becoming a cliche, right? Everybody's doing something not the way. We all know everybody's binging Netflix at the end of the day or something. But one of the things he said that resonated with me is that for this amount of time, you are developing good habits and bad habits, meaning it's happening. Really waking up at whatever the time it's happening. Your mind is not at a standstill. And so be cognizant of not only the good things, like, oh, I'm working on my vision board and stuff, but notice the bad habits, because you went into COVID a certain way. How are you going to come out of COVID? And that resonated with me because I realized I was picking up some bad habits that I didn't, I was like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm spending time with my kids and, I'm working on my work and working from home. But there was stuff that I was doing that was really becoming a habitual thing. And I would just encourage everybody to just really take a step back and not just to think of, what you can put on your Instagram and say, oh, these are the new things I'm doing in COVID. Look at all the good things that you're developing, maybe unintentionally or maybe subconsciously, and the bad things that you're doing. I know one of the things that we were doing was snacking. Like, we're eating healthy, right? Those sodium and stuff, but just constantly, and not eating
vegetating.
All right. Just, I got to keep something going, right? It's almost like nervous energy, right? It's just need to keep eating something. Even if it's nuts, chips, peanut butter, whatever. But the thing is, why am I doing that? And then that was a habit I was developing that I didn't notice. And so I think it really challenges us to realize that being in the house all the time, we are developing bad habits. You yourself did not think that. And so I think that is the big thing as it relates to COVID, to just to really focus on that.
And just life in general. Like, all you're saying is be self-aware, right? Like, take an inventory of, like, what are the things that I do well and what are the things that I don't do well? What adds to my life? What subtracts from my life? Like, it's a good practice to get in forever, is to become self-aware.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's the biggest thing. And then I guess also with I know a lot of people are focusing on dreams and focusing on passions. I know I'm very passionate about like dreams and searching after them. One of the things that related to me, it kind of relates to our artistry and making music. So I'm trying to make music. I realized that good excuses are still excuses, and kids, marriage, PhD, work, those are all great excuses. Oh, you ain't got it. I get it. You have 3 kids. People get class, right? And so compared to you, right? You said I'm single with 2 cats. You don't have a lot of excuses and stuff. So you'll get stuff done because you're like, man, I ain't got nothing to hang my hat on, right?
I have no excuses.
Right. No excuses. So you just feel bad. Thing is, if I'm sitting on this side and say, I've got a lot of good excuses, your no excuses or my good excuses, both of us neither have anything done.
Yeah.
And so I had to remove myself out of good excuses or looking for good excuses. It's like, oh, my son's sick. Okay, I can't write today. That's not true. He's passed out and got some NyQuil. That has nothing to do with my ability to write right now. And so just stop making good excuses.
You write about him being sick and how that makes you feel.
Yeah, right.
You write about that current situation.
Yeah,
that's a good perspective, though. I actually haven't heard that said really, but I think that's a great perspective. Is like whether your excuses are this or this, excuses are excuses, man. Remove those.
Yeah, right.
Good for you. That's powerful.
Those, and it's not like deprioritizing those things like family or even God or stuff, but we have to acknowledge that these are excuses. Because we will treat them like these are justifications. That's something different. Right? No,
I can't do this because I have this good reason.
Still an excuse, don't. And if you want to live with that and be like, yeah, no, that is an excuse, then just let that be. But don't act like it isn't. Right. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's not an excuse. I couldn't do it. And 10 years later, it's like, oh.
No, that excuse, I can't remember what it was, but I had one.
Right. It was important. So, yeah man. But that's
bad pork I ate in '89. No, that's good, man. I love it. Well, thanks for popping on, man. Sorry it took so long, or sorry we talked for so long. I hope this is good enough. I'm just saying because I know your schedule is structured. We now know that.
Yeah, but what they probably, I could tell you where they're at. They're probably at dinner, finished up with dinner right now and watching some program.
I love it.
Ready in 15 minutes is bedtime. So it's my favorite time of the day. Daddy's favorite time of the day.
No. Well, enjoy your time, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us, man. Like, I know people will benefit from this, but just for me to you, man, like I benefited from this. I really did. I enjoyed talking to you.
I'd love to do this again. Call
Let's do it again.
Want to chop it up, and I'm same format or in person. Depending on how things go. So yeah,
once we can get in person, let's do it in person.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We'll
And
get you right over here.
I want to say I'm really proud of you because I know that's something that you wanted to do. And talking about good excuses, you're like, you got rid of them, and here we are. And so I'm really proud of the fact that you were able to put this on and be consistent with it. Everybody got to dream until the dream fizzles out, right? But you're still sticking with it.
Appreciate that, man. Well, again, like you said, and I won't keep going, but like I feel like God has blessed me with a high level of capacity for productivity, and that's why I feel like with any gift God gives you, there is a responsibility to understand that there is a positive and a negative side to any gift if not used correctly. And you touched on that earlier, is that if we aren't able to balance out our highly productive nature and capacity, it can become a detriment to us. So like, thank you for saying that. And my rebuttal to that is I want to be more like you, to be able to take that time and just rest. Because I've learned, for people like you and me, people are like, I just want some rest. I never think that. Like, I hardly ever think that. Like, rest to me is work. It's easier for me to not rest.
Laying in the bed.
Yeah, you get it. Like, someone's got to hold you and me down and be like, sit there for 10 minutes. Like,
I always call it
a discipline in itself.
I call it the ambitious curse.
Hey, that's it. That's it. And we have to learn the discipline to rest. It's a discipline, right? To some it's easy, to us it's a discipline.
Right.
It's been cool chopping it up, because we have, as the conversation continues, like you and me are very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool, man.
I agree.
Well, blessings to you, my friend. I won't keep you much longer from your family. But thanks again for coming on, man. You were a blessing to me, and I guarantee the people that are listening, you're just an incredible dude, man. I got a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, man, this was good. I really appreciate this opportunity and talking. I look forward to hearing this and more.
And you'll see it too, because we got video.
Hey, there we go.
Hey. All right, man. God bless you. Take care, man.
All right, you too, man.
And then we'll do a part 2, and we'll just keep it going.
All right, I'm good with that.
So,
all right, man. You have a blessed time.
You too, my brother. We'll see you again.
Peace.